Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be doing a tutorial using the beads from the September Magical Mystery Bead Box from Jesse James Beads, and it's the theme of Morticia's Garden. I think I mentioned during the unboxing that I had something in mind, so that's what I'm going to start with. So for this project you're going to need the one with the roses. I think this one is the bead mix and Eternally Yours. But anyway, we have this gorgeous black flower. We've got some rondelles, and I kind of arranged it in the way that I envision it in my head of how I want it to look. So I'm going to, first of all, as you know, I love wire working. So we're going to do the wire work first, and then we're going to hang these gorgeous petals as if the rose is losing some of its petals. So for that, like I said, we're going to need this mix. We're going to need some coiled wire. Now I have this black coiled wire that I did with my coiling gizmo. And I used the Softflex craft wire in black. And this one is the 22 gauge. Also, we're going to need some 20 gauge of this tarnish resistant silver plated wire. And then we're also going to need our usual tools, our round nose pliers, our flat nose pliers, some nylon jaw pliers, and some wire cutters. And I forgot to mention 15-inch piece of 16 gauge wire. I picked the 16 gauge wire because I really wanted to hold up to the shape that I'm going to make. All right, so we're going to take this 15-inch 16 gauge wire, and we're first of all going to start by threading in the big rose. And I've already measured to make sure that it goes through the holes, because this is quite a thick piece of wire. Also, I don't recommend using this kind of cutter. Your nice pair of side cutters, don't use those because this is quite thick, and you'll definitely, I think you'll ruin them, because I have another pair that has a bunch of little jaw marks that I think it's because I cut 16-inch. So anyway, we're going to use this, and then I'm gonna grab some of the 22 gauge black wire, and I'm gonna do a herringbone stitch. It might not show, but I need it to hold this coiled wire in place, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with the coiled wire. So first, to start off with, I'm going to grab and I like to work off the roll so I don't waste a lot of the wire, because then you have to just kind of guesstimate, and then you end up with wasted wire. So I'm gonna kind of anchor this 22 gauge wire. I'm gonna anchor it to the 16 gauge wire. And now that we have that, I'm just gonna grab my flat nose pliers and just kind of pull so that it's nice and tight, and then bring it all the way close to the back of the rose. So like I said, it's not something that will show, but it will definitely help me with what I need to do. So I'm gonna just roll around, and now that I've done that I've cut it, now I can use my little side cutters to cut this, and then go here, and again go around and do another one here. And this will also help me because these roses tend to like spin around. It's kind of, I've tried making earrings with them and I love them. Don't get me wrong, I love roses, but it's really hard to get them to stay put. And with this type of, see how the wiring, this type of herringbone style, it will definitely make them stay put. All right, so now that I have that, now what I want to do is grab, now I am going to release, I am going to cut a big, probably a larger chunk of the black wire off, I want it to be longer because what we're going to do is that we're going to coil this again, and you'll see how it's going to look. So I'm just going to cut a big piece off, kind of, you know, bigger than this, at least as long as it's like a couple inches bigger or longer, sorry, a couple inches longer than your coil. That will, when we recoil it again, it will stay that way. So what I'm gonna do is put this, thread this coil into here. Oh, I still need to cut it off. It's a little wonky on the edge here. There. And I might need to make more coil, but we'll see. So bring it here. Now that we have that, I'm going to take from the coiling gizmo, I don't need the stand, but I'm going to take this, you know, this is one of the little wires from there, and I'm going to put it right about, well, let's see, this is going to be kind of interesting to maneuver. But I'm just going to put it right there, like that, and hold it in place and just go around this wire, this what is it, I guess, tube, coiling accessory. I don't know, but just we're gonna go around. So we're coiling again the coil, and I wanted to have the 22 in the center to give it, first of all, to be able to anchor it to the rose, and to give it, to help it make the shape stay the coil. So we're gonna squish that in there, and like that. See, and then I can just use, whoops, wants to go in its own direction. I can use the end of the wire to help me finish coiling this. There we go. So see how we have that pretty coil? Now you can take off the tool, and what I'm gonna do is, what I want to do is put it right here. So it looks like I got enough for one side because I wanted to show around the rose. So what I'm going to do is just kind of, which works out perfect because I can just anchor it here with this 22 gauge wire. We're going to need to anchor another piece, but let me just twist this a little better so it looks like it's part of this coil. There we go. So see, and then we'll make sure that it stays, that this stays in place right here in a minute. All right, so there we go. Just like that, I just kind of brought it over to the other side. And see how pretty it's kind of covering that, going over the rose. So I'm gonna go and coil another piece, and I will be right back. You won't miss me. All right, so as you guys can see, I have advanced quite a bit. I did that so that I wanted to put things together, make sure they all went where I had envisioned them, and this video wouldn't take 3 hours. So basically I did one side, and it's going to be what I wanted. My vision is to be more of a choker, and here are the petals falling from the rose. I ended up finishing the coiled side, the coiled uncoiled side right here. See, so I kind of surrounded it with, and then we did the petals. Once I'm done with it, then you guys will be, I'll put it on a bust so you guys can see how it fits. But this is basically what we're going to be doing. This is what we're going to be doing on this side. So what I did was take 24 gauge wire and started wrapping right behind this rose, right along where the black wire ends. So basically, let me see if I can do this. So I'm just gonna wrap it here and then I'll push it towards there because the rose is in the way. And right now I'm going to work off I'm gonna be working off the roll just to make sure I have enough wire. I hate having to add more wire. Now I'm gonna knock all this over. Let me move this out of the way. All right. So I'm just going to do about 4 wraps right here. You can see right there. Right now they look a little funky, but I'm just gonna take my flat nose pliers and bring that together. There we go. And then I'm going to take this and pull really, really tight on here, like that. You guys could see the mess that's behind the camera. Well, I hope you never see the mess behind the camera. All right, so now that I have that started, I'm going to put on one of the purple rondelles and slide that one on right here. And then we're gonna do some herringbone wraps. So remember, you go over the top, we go around like that, and then we come back around, and then we go over the top again and around, and this will move everywhere, but no worries, we'll straighten everything up once we get everything in place. And then over the top again, and I believe I did 4 wraps on here on this side. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to hold this here over the top again, that, and then we go underneath the one that's already there. All right, so now that we have this with the herringbone wrap, we're going to do a few wraps right over here. Just to give it space between one, especially since we're going to do a little bit of herringbone on the next stone. And we want it to be separate from here so that we have also room to put this little dangle there. All right, so now make sure you straighten your wire. So now we're gonna put this diamond shape piece here, and like I said, make sure your wire's nice and straight. So I'm just going to do 2 of these. So it goes 1, and remember, we go underneath 2 like that. And then now I am gonna have to cut the wire. So I'm probably gonna cut about, oh, I wanna say 24 inches, I think, once we stretch this out. Because right now it's a big accordion. Well, no, I think it's about, yeah, it's about 24 inches, looks like. And like I said, we can always add more if needed, but that should be enough. So now we're going to put on, let's see, on the bottom, we're going to, I made some of this coil because this is hanging this way. So as you can see, we have coil here on the bottom, on this part. So I did make some coil of the 24 gauge. So I'm going to put that on the wire. Let me just cut the tip off. It's a little wonky as usual. There we go. And then we'll just slide that in. And then we can measure. So I measure it just like that and make sure it's nice and up against right there. And then I'm just going to right there, but make sure you don't cut the wire underneath. So right there. Take out the rest. So now we're just going to do another herringbone style wrap to anchor this in place. So now that we have our coil on, so I'm going to add these little beads that I took out. They're like little corrugated beads. They're 3 millimeter. These I had from my stash. You can add any type of little bead that you have. Even if you want to add like crystals, little itty bit, those little small little rondelles. I dropped them. Didn't want to go in. So, all right. So now we will put this on this side, and again, oops, I had it upside down. This side, and again we're going to anchor it on here with a couple of wraps like that. Now we will put on the last rondelle, and that one I just did very little wrap. It's just kind of to frame it. Doesn't need a, oh wait, I'm sorry. I do need to put several wraps in here so that the I probably only needed kind of like a foot. I just like having extra, maybe 18 inches would have been fine. Let's see. Squish this down. I did do quite a few wraps, just to make sure. Kind of to hang those dagger type beads or pointy beads, I don't know what they're called, and separate the rondelle. So see, now I framed it. Do another one, and as usual we go underneath and finalize the wrap. And that's all we need for this one, for this side. Okay, so now that we have put on our beads, now we can go ahead and finish these daggers here. So I made one, all these two, one more, and I'm just going to show you guys how I made this one. So basically the hole is on the side, so what you're going to do is bring it through. I'm going to use the 22 gauge black, and you got to be really careful with this wire because the coating does come off if you scratch it with your tools. So basically what I'm going to do is like this little X here, see that little X, and get it nice and tight. I'm going to bend this one up like in the middle of the top and wrap this. Now that we have made a little loop here for this, to start off the wrapping on this dagger pointy bead. Now what we do is bend it a little bit to the side, and then I will grab it with my round nose pliers, not like this. Grab it with my round nose pliers, bring the loop around, move it out of the way, and see, now we have a little loop. And then you can either keep your round nose pliers in here if you don't want to risk messing up the shape, or you can grab pliers and just hold the little loop. But otherwise, just grab your wire and start wrapping around and around your dagger. When it gets a little bit hard, you can actually hold it and just kind of wrap around. And I did, if you can see, I did quite a few wraps, but I'm just going to squish this. Now we can cut with our side cutters right there. Set that to the side. And then you have to be really careful because this black comes off really fast. Really easily, not fast. Well, yeah, fast too. But so when you're kind of readjusting things, make sure to just be very gentle with, because if you scrape along just like I almost did, it will show the wire underneath. So see, now we have our wrapped little dagger. If you want, you can straighten out the loop a little bit to where you like it. I would do the rest of any shaping with your hand, again, to not disturb the coating on the wire. All right, so now I have some chain that I had in my stash, and so to put these on, I'm just going to grab one of these large 6mm jump ring and take it with my flat nose and grab my other, and this goes front to back. You don't open, if you make jewelry, you already know that, but otherwise, for those who don't know, you don't open your jump rings side to side, but front to back, like you're twisting. And then put that right there. I needed a larger ring so I could get around this wire wrapping. A little bit harder when you're doing it on camera. So now I closed it. There we go. Now I am going to need a smaller one because the bigger ones, I think they're too overkill to the bottom. And then I'm going to put this one here and close it. have our first little dangle. And then now I need to cut the chain for the other little dangle. Right here. Let me just make sure I measured this. You know what? I put this on wrong. I'm gonna switch it in a minute. I just need to see how many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cut that one off. So I just need to readjust this one. Put it in the side that goes, that we want to put the shorter one in. So just reopen that quick. Take this one off. Oops. All right, the loop's already on there, so we'll just put the chain on. Okay, so I had to take the longer one off on this side because actually this one is the shorter chain. So going to open this. There we go. And then we'll put the chain in. Should have done that first, huh? Live and learn. If you hear snoring, it's as usual my pug. There. And close this one. And all we need to do is put this one on the longer chain. And all right, so now we have that. Now for this part, the ending, what I'm going to do is take off about two inches, which is what I took off the other side. So I'm just going to measure it to make sure we have the same. And I'm not going to use my good pliers for that I use for delicate things. Just gonna use these. All right, there goes that wire. I gotta pick it up. And then I'm just gonna make, because this wire is so strong, you really don't need to make a closed loop. So I'm just gonna bend it forward a little bit and then take the tip and bring this forward. And then to actually, if you can see when you do that when you start a loop, you can see how you end up with a straight, like a little straight piece. You can just cut that off. Again, with your non-good pliers. All right, and then continue making your loop or your swirl. I'm not going to close it completely. I just want to gently, let me show you, gently start to shape it. And hopefully, so instead of closing completely this loop, I'm just kind of turning it like so. Oh. And then take my nylon jaw pliers and make sure that I think I want to bend this a little bit more. Oh, kind of this way to give it a nice loop, just like that. And let's make sure it matches this side. Let's see, I think this one is, if you can see, it's a little bit closed, a little bit more. There we go. I tightened up the center loop just so it looks like this one. It's a little bit closer. Want them to. Now we've got to remember this is handmade, so it's not always going to be exactly equal since we're not making this in a factory. But we definitely want them to match as close as possible. There we go. So now to finalize, we're just going to add the rest of these little petals. Now I have 3 that I already put on here. So I do have this little drop that I added with this petal. So I'm going to grab a head pin, put this head pin here, and bend this to the side like that. And grab my round nose, pliers, bring it over and make that loop, get it out of the way, and then now we can wrap it. You can use your hands or your pliers. Just depends on what you're more comfortable with. I do about 2-3 little wraps, and then we cut off with my good pliers. Cut off nice at the edge and make sure that it's nice and straight and there's no edges sticking out. Just tuck in any edge. Kind of loopy looking. So then I'm going to grab those 2, and I do have some gunmetal 6mm crimp tubes, which I think would be, crimp tubes, jump rings, which I think would be a lot nicer with these black petals, since we've got the silver and black going. So we're going to add this here and this right about there. There we go. Oops. Well, before I close that, I'm going to grab a piece of chain. So let me see, I'm just kind of strategically placing these petals. So I need another, probably I'm just gonna put it right about there. I don't want to make them too long because this is a choker. We have a choker style, so I don't want them to be too long. That should be about good. I'm really literally eyeballing it. There's no rhyme or reason to the chain. Just wherever you feel most comfortable putting it on. And so now I have my little piece of chain here. And I'm going to add the petal to it. Where's my pliers? close the ring. You can. And then for this side, since nobody's really going to see it, we're just going to add one of these little jump rings. Just to hook it up to the back of the rose. And I wanted to add that little stone in there, that little drop, just to add a little bit of sparkle. So we're going to see where I added all these. It's basically the original herringbone wire we did. So just going to close this. All right. So now we have the petal with the little drop on it, and then now we just need to add these two last petals. So I think I'm going to go for a little bit longer again. Right about there is where I want my next petal. So basically I just kind of again guesstimate. About there. We'll cut some off if it's too long. So now grab another one. These are fairly easy. So we will be done here. We're almost done. Like that. And then grab the petal. All right, now we close like that. And then now we add one of these little silver ones. Open that. Okay. Add two. Close. Close this jump ring. And we need one more. Let me see how that turned out. Yep, exactly where I wanted it. And I like that it goes all around, you know, it has nice movement going back and forth. And the last one, let me see, where do we end up? Where does it need one more? Right about there. This will be a really short one. A nice tiny one, like it's starting to, like the petals are starting to fall off the rose. And there we go. And there is the finished, and then all you have to do is shape it, kind of round these out to make sure that it fits nicely around. What I love is that usually chokers are from 14 to 16 inches long, but with this one you really have the flexibility of, you know, opening it or closing it depending on the neck size. I'm going to put it on a bust for you guys so that you can see how it lays, because it really I tried it a little bit yesterday and it lays so nicely. So you guys will see for the ending. Now for the for this part, you can either put two extension chains here. I have this gunmetal one. You can use ribbon, sari silk. I think I have a piece of black sari silk that I was thinking I would love to use here. So I might go with that. But whatever I choose, you'll see it in the last image that I leave here. So what do you guys think? Do you like this? Did you like this design? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if you would recreate it or something close to it. What your thoughts are, leave them all in the comments. I truly appreciate all your feedback, especially when you help me help you with figuring out what's the best angles and zoom for my tutorials and my unboxings. So as always, if you like this video and you want to see more tutorials like this, don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you can see my next unboxing or tutorial. And please give this video a big thumbs up, as it helps my channel be discovered by other people that also love to create jewelry. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.